Going to go to Rio right now and talk to Pat Johnston. He was an All-American goalkeeper at Duke. Good man. He's also an author. What did I say?
No, I just said he's on the ground.
He's on the ground. He's our man on the ground.
I was reiterating.
Welcome to Over the Ball, Pat. Caralho. Welcome to OTB. How are you, brother?
Thank you very
Patrick.
much. I'm doing well, guys. Yes.
Dude, you always sound like you're
Can you
doing
hear me?
bong hits when I hear you. My God. What is
another place?
Hey, Patrick,
Hello.
what is the mood down in Brazil? I mean, were you at the game yesterday?
Yeah, I sure was, and I don't want to sound. I'm not exotic. I'm not in Rio. I'm actually in Sao Paulo for the match tonight. But last night's game was it was an ugly environment after the game was over. During the game, they were somewhat restrained, but there were fights everywhere.
Really?
Brazilian on Brazilian or Brazilian against German?
Yeah.
I keep thinking the waxing.
Sorry, it was mostly Brazilian on Brazilian, but there were some boisterous Germans, and they weren't necessarily behaving prudently, and some Brazilians took it out on them. As a matter of fact, there was some Germans sitting next to me. One left to get a beer in the second half. He came back without his shirt. They
ripped it off
to
of
take
him.
his shirt off, and if he did not, he was going to get a serious beating.
That's too bad, Patrick, because watching yesterday, I thought that the Brazilian fans, obviously cried and took it very emotionally, but they started to cheer the good play of the German team. And then they made the announcement that you obviously must have heard where they said, if you're German fans, stay in your seats, we'll escort you out of the stadium. And I thought, maybe that's not necessary. Is that necessary? And it sounds to me, Patrick, like it was.
It was very necessary. Of course, we're talking about the minority because, most of the people were classy about it, and the sorrow in their faces, etc. But when you go to an event and there's fights in the stands and everybody stands up and they're looking up or looking back,
Yeah.
In this case, it happened 4 or 5 times from where I sat. And I actually could see 3 of the fights, whereas usually everyone's standing up and looking at something, and I have no idea what they're looking at. It was not the way I hoped it had gone. Obviously,
beautiful game. Yeah, not on the field or in the stands, unfortunately. So, the fights that you saw in the stands, you're saying some of them might have been Brazilian on Brazilian.
Yes, no, without a doubt, they would be wearing Brazilian shirts, but. Also, in the short time I was here, there's also this the social class warfare that is happening here is real. It's real.
Yeah.
And so there, and I'm just speculating that this was the cause of it, but the fans also were very derisive towards their own players, and I think Fred received the most derision of any player on the field.
You could hear it on the broadcast. There was a lot of jeering. Every time he touched the ball, they jeered him, and the commentators were actually saying how badly they felt for him. Even though he's played terribly, nobody wants to hear that because it must have just been so demoralizing for everybody.
Yeah, it was a strange game. I've never seen anything like that except maybe in youth ball.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I said that to myself, Patrick. It was just odd, watching it all. So, look, we've talked about, FIFA awards Brazil the World Cup. All that money goes to build those stadiums. Part of it is supposed to build hospitals, supposed to build railroad and all kinds of things, infrastructure. And it just didn't happen. It wasn't delivered upon. FIFA's sort of not stayed on them and kind of washed their hands on it. They just want a good show to happen. And I've always said this. I thought there would perhaps be problems if Brazil did not win. I was pleasantly surprised when I thought, wrongly, as you're telling me, Patrick, that they were bad reactions. It's too bad. So, and how about where you are now?
In Sao Paulo, it's right now it was peaceful getting in the ride and such. There is a different mentality though in talking to the locals today versus yesterday. Actually, let me go back to yesterday. A funny thing was, and I think this was pretty much globally, the story was not about the game itself here. It was about the game without Neymar.
Right.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
It was kind of like a built-in excuse. It's in the paper, seen Neymar, and they interviewed Jurgen Lowe, and all he's talking about is, well, I wish Neymar was playing, and so it was kind of a built-in self-fulfilling prophecy in a sense of what happened last night. And it's easy to say that in retrospect, but all the markers were there before we even walked in the stadium.
Yeah.
But yeah, today there's more of an indifference. Hopefully it doesn't turn to a belligerence. But yeah, it's they're in shock. I think more than anything, as we all are.
I think Brazil will hopefully put on a good show. And, Patrick, look, let's say we were talking about this, Grail and I, before you got on the air. Look, you're playing at Duke. Your All-American striker's Tommy Kane, right? Tommy Kane, let's say, goes down. It's not like you fold your tent and everybody goes home at that point. It's like someone's got to step in. Someone, you all buck up. You say, let's fire up. And, we've been talking about just the Neymar masks. They brought the shirt onto the field. Who brings a player who's hurt,
who's living,
shirt
who's
and
living
onto the field?
Living.
It's a distraction. You've got 11 guys on the field who've got to do a job and get to it. You're not a fan. You're a player, man. So you felt that. You thought the same thing.
Yeah, it was obvious to the people. I mean, from the moment I got into the airport, it was, I'm going to the game, and they would say, but no Neymar.
Yeah.
And, and getting back to what you said about a team, you're not a good team if you're not prepared for that one player to go down.
Right.
And so you've got to always be prepared for those contingencies, I would think.
Yep. So put yourself in the boots of Julio Cesar as that match is unfolding in front of you. What are you thinking? Do you want to strangle every one of your defenders individually or collectively?
Well, I always want to do that when I give up a goal, even if it's my fault. But no, yeah. But all kidding aside, it wasn't his finest hour. But yeah, he was left exposed. I think. The way I would describe what I saw last night, there were two things that really caught my attention sitting in the stadium watching the game. The first was just the incisiveness and clinical execution of the German counterattacks. Mm-hmm. They were so quick in transition. I was awestruck just how quick they went from winning the ball and getting forward and being synchronized. And then the other thing was once Brazil conceded that second goal, and probably even after the first, they lost their defensive discipline. They just did not defend collectively. All of a sudden, three players felt like they had to run to the ball and win it, and of course the Germans exploited that and just ripped them to shreds. So...
there's nothing worse when three guys are running and you need 11 to run at the same time, and you have three guys you can run to your head falls off. It's just everybody's got to run.
And they went right down the gut on them. That was the amazing thing. They scored all types of goals. Obviously, 7 goals. There are all sorts of goals they're scoring, but a lot of them were right down the gut.
There was like a loss of accountability. There was ball watching. It was, the focus just wasn't there to play a team of that level, obviously. But I think the one goal that Cesar, you could see he was just devastated. And of course, 6 go past you, but the 7th one when Schürrle rockets it under the top of the crossbar, or the bottom side of the crossbar, Cesar literally walked off the field and stood behind the goal while the ball was being kicked off, and you could see he just wanted to dig a hole and bury himself. He was so distraught, and being part of the union, I totally felt for the guy. I looked at it and I said, could he have saved that? And it was like maybe in his finest hour, but
it was a great shot
up top.
Yeah, it was near post. It was near post. It was a hell of a shot.
One touch, half volley. I mean, that thing was a cannon.
But and then let's look at the other side of the field. Patrick Manuel Neuer, the way he played. He stopped a few goals there.
3 in the second
I'd
half.
Say. Yeah, but just the way he plays, it's amazing to watch. He's revolutionized the position.
I'll tell you what, guys. I watched him warm up, and like the fellow I was with at the game. I told him flat out, this guy is a man. Just, seeing him seeing his hands, how he collects things and just moves about the goal and everything about him. And I think what he did early that a lot of people might not notice is that cross. There was a cross early on within the first 5 minutes that was played low, and he came out as side of 6 and collected it before the onrushing Brazilian could come in and tap it home. And then from then on, he had a quiet night at the office.
Okay, if you're just joining us on Over the Ball on SiriusXM FC 94, Kevin Flynn and Grail Hallett here. We're talking to Patrick Johnston. He's former All-American goalkeeper at Duke and has written a book about his travels and all the World Cups he's seen. And he was there to watch history yesterday. Patrick, I say for your book, this is a new chapter you're going to have to add, isn't it?
No doubt about it. And just to make the chapter even more appealing, hopefully the Brazilian populace doesn't do that, but I secured a ticket to the final last night as well, so I'm a happy camper. I'll be here.
You're working it, man.
Yeah. Good for you, buddy.
I like it. A little American ingenuity down there, a little entrepreneurship, and you're working it all. Well, Patrick, thanks so much for being our eyes and ears down there, and we'd love to talk to you again as we move forward. I think the game's on Sunday.
Yeah.
We go off the air tomorrow, but SiriusXM will have FC will have all the coverage. Hey, Patrick, be safe. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the beautiful game. Hopefully, it's a great run from here on out for you, Patrick.
Yeah, I hope to stay safe. And would you mind if I plug my book real quick?
Yeah,
just
please
shout
do.
The name out there to everyone. Okay, it's on Amazon.com. The Odyssey of the Soccer Junkie, and been hitting World Cup since 1986, and this is definitely the next chapter, like Kevin said. And it's my pleasure, guys. You know I love the show.
Absolutely, and you sent me a copy of the book. I've read it. It's interesting. We just missed each other a few times in different cities. We have a mutual friend who's a goalkeeper at Penn State, and just really insightful, fun stuff that happens only around this game. I'm telling you, you're an American, and you go to these countries, and all kinds of experiences happens, and they happen to Patrick Johnston. Patrick, thanks for joining us on Over the Ball.
My pleasure, guys. Have a good one.